deconstruct, demystify, unveil, unfold. There's more to the arts than meets the eye, if you see it through the looking glass. Last week, we looked at the gradual rise of photography from its hazy beginnings to the universal toy that everybody uses to capture time. It's seen many ages and much evolution, and yet even today there are places that still love celebrating its curious past.
Cyanotype is basically a photographic printing process which gives cyan or blueprints, hence the name cyanotype. It was invented in the mid-1800s, and there are basically two chemicals involved, potassium ferricyanide and ferric ammonium citrate. When you sensitize the paper with these two chemicals and you expose it in the UV light, the ferric salts turn to ferrous salts, and the ferrous then further goes on to react to give this blue color. Once it's exposed in the UV light, it sort of turns, as the exposure proceeds, it turns from a greenish color to a brown color, and then once you wash it, the washing bit is actually the developing process of the print. And when you wash it, it changes from the brown color fades away and gives rise to a blue color, which then on further drying darkens up even more.
Hello and welcome to The Looking Glass. I'm Saira Akhtar, and this week we take a more in-depth look at photography, focusing on how it shapes up as a fine art and also on how it continues to shape the world of painting. In fact, painting and photography have a lot more in common than you might think. For one thing, a realistic photograph does exactly what a still life painting does. It translates a three-dimensional space onto a two-dimensional surface. Essentially, a photograph and a painting are both cellmates, as it were, sharing the captivity of the frame, opening up a window through which the photographer and the painter both show us their perspective.
The limits of the frame are something that is shared by painting as well as photography. The frame used to be seen as a window. They share this kind of endeavor to capture some aspect of reality or fantasy or the other, to translate from lived and experienced reality and imagination onto something concrete and tangible. In fact, I think they share a lot more than they don't share.
And with so much in common, it's no wonder then that painting and photography ended up treading on each other's toes. And it wasn't too long before some painters began to feel threatened by photographers.
Painters thought that they were going to lose the portrait making sessions they've had. People have again been very fond of being remembered.
The sort of aristocracy and the nobility used to commission portraiture in order to record their ancestry and, as to pass down as part of the heirloom of the legacy of the family and so on and so forth. And once this could be done photographically, there was really no need to try and do that.
But while being a medium that was directly trespassing on fine art territory, photography was also causing some big changes in the way painters began to work. The view through the camera lens was challenging the way painters looked at a picture frame and the action inside it.
In painting, you always had the classical painting was everything was in the frame, and the frame held the frame, okay, the image. But in photography, you didn't have that facility, so you ended up creating a cut image, or you ended up cutting parts of carts out of the frame, or you ended up cutting parts of people out of the frame. And that became a new frame and a new perspective of looking within a frame. You had artists who, after a while, decided to forget the classical frame and to look at photography, which was this new frame, and to follow what it was doing. And then you had a new rendition in fine art.
Degas is a very good example, where images are cropped in a way that suggests that there is action outside the frame as much as there is inside the frame. Exclusion, to me, is a means of creating enigma.
And beyond these initial influences, there seems to be a link between the gradual rise of photography and fine art's subsequent move towards the abstract.
Some say it's the ability of the photograph to show us the real that gave painters the freedom to show us the unreal, liberating painting from the need to depict reality.
Pretty much the entire gamut of 20th century art took place because of this release of painting from the imperative of depicting reality as close to reality as possible, especially so with portraiture. And then the destruction of real space in Picasso and the violence that is committed to the body in Cubism and onward. It's not even representative or figurative anymore. It's just about ideas.
But while there have been times when painting and photography have been at war with each other, there have also been times when they've put aside their differences and helped each other out. That's coming up right after this short break. Stay tuned.